What's up, y'all? Jay Sproul, movies, music, sports, and life. Um, School district where I used to coach basketball at, they took a big loss today, so that's why I got on the high school version of Tyler Hero, his jersey. But y'all not here for pro basketball or high school basketball. Y'all here for Swarm, and I'm gonna have a little bit of commentary about each episode. I'm gonna just go. It's only seven episodes, and they all, I think the longest one was like 40 minutes. Most of them stayed around 30, 35 minutes. So it didn't really feel like a binge per se, like it normally would to get through, when shows have 13, 10 episodes and they all are an hour long. That's longer than we go to work every day. You know what I mean? But yeah, Dominique is just she is just gorgeous, man. She is just so beautiful and vulnerable in terms of just how innocent she can be and how sad that she can look. It's like it just doesn't seem like she's acting. And ironically, that's why she said that she wanted this role. She said because everybody thinks I'm so sweet. So, episode one. And I also gotta say, I don't know which one is the older sister or the younger sister, but my God, Chloe is fine. Without even trying. Just every time she's on the screen, every time she's talking, every time she smiles. But if you see the way Dre kissed her suicide marks, I used to deal with a young lady who cut herself. And so I know that young ladies that do that really got a lot of pain going on. And you know what? When I was a little bit confused as to why the parents swore up and down that Dre did it. And then I started convincing myself that Franklin, Dasmon Idris from Snowfall did it. That was our breadcrumb or our clue that she really did commit suicide. And sometimes people, it's called suicidal ideation. Sometimes people get it from music. And when you internalize music and what Naja, aka Beyonce, was singing about, sometimes you can just justify to yourself that they are encouraging suicide. But you would have to be somebody that cut on your own wrist before to even make that parallel. But it's just a very sweet and innocent thing to do, to kiss the suicide marks as if that could make them go away. So if you had thoughts of she wanted Marissa sexually, no, that's somebody that adores somebody. That's, I think, the parallel that people aren't catching with this. As much as she obsessed over Nija, Marissa was one and one with Nija in her mind. When you talk about somebody who didn't have real parents and the adoptive parents at some point kicked her out of the house, then you looking at literally the only family member that she has on planet Earth. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine how lonely it would feel. The only family member that you have on planet Earth is gone, and then the physical family doesn't want you there. But I'm moving ahead. I'm moving ahead. Um, oh yeah, but I was also just noticing the way she looks at the screen when she sees the tickets. Like, dude, this woman, Dominique Fishback, is 31 years old, and she looks like she's 19. And some of her facial expressions, and when she gets happy about something, it's like a literal kid. Like she just exudes just like sweet wholesomeness, which definitely gets turned on its ear when she starts murking people. Um, when she popped up at I'm gonna just keep calling him Franklin because that's what we know him as. When she pops up at Franklin's house, I I don't know if you guys were like me, but I knew she was gonna kill him. I just didn't know how or why. But if you look at, it's like really with all her kills, it's really like judge, jury, executioner. Like nothing is random. Like, hey, I want to know, did you say this? And okay, if you said this, I got the receipts that you said this. Here's your punishment, death. So his biggest offense, and forgive me for not remembering Franklin's name on the show, his biggest offense was that he didn't attend the funeral. And unfortunately, as a man in his mid 40s that probably has way more trauma than even I care to admit or seek help for, I've been to that many funerals, and I'm almost sure more than that. You know, I've probably been to 48 to 50 funerals in my 40 plus years of living. And you know, I guess I've grown accustomed to it. I guess I have developed a tougher skin, but some people cannot do it. So she judged him for that. And when he was saying we got into an argument before she offed herself, I also have lived with that because, you know, one of my best friends took his own life, and I hadn't been by his house to see him in a while, you know, and I wore that like on my shoulders, you know, for a long time, and I probably shouldn't have, but it is what it is. You know, I felt like I could have been, there's probably 3 people on earth that probably could have talked him out of what he did, and I feel like I was one of them. And then, but when you just look at the fact that none of us, the 3 people I'm thinking of, none of us were there, it's not any of our faults because he didn't want us to be there. When people are depressed, you know, they want to leave, and they're going to take the steps to do so. So she created a crazy situation by offing him. Episode 2, really awkward dance, really kind of no skills as a dancer, but I think she could care less because she was trying to get down to business. She was only in that place to find the guy who made the foul comment about Marissa got what she deserved. And I mean, she just lines people up, and people just never see it coming. They never see her end game when she lines people up. Now, where things start getting funny in terms of, do you trust where this young lady's mind is? The stripper who tried to befriend her, the boyfriend was abusive. So when she smokes him out of the bathroom, and then she got the gas mask and she's ready, and she kills him, your morals are a little bit conflicted because you feel like he deserved it. But then later on, when she actually shoots the stripper friend, you literally, and she did that as she was, trying to bury him. You literally think she did that for no other reason than the girl was getting on her nerves. And I just want to hear you stop talking. So I'm not going to tell you to shut up. I'm just going to give you eternal silence. And usually it's hard to root for a person like that. And even though it's entertainment, I never want to find myself in a space where I approve of that behavior. Because then it starts to desensitize you for when things get real. But that's just, um, the scene inside of the house party with the college baseball players. It was weird, and I guess just perfect for for Dre, aka Dominique Fishback, for what she does. All these stripper associates are in there doing whatever they need to do to make some money. She's just sitting in the room by herself, just eating chips. And then, just like me, I don't drink, I don't smoke. So I think I'm a cool enough person, I'm a good enough conversationalist that it doesn't freak people out or it's not off-putting and make people feel uncomfortable. But if you don't drink and smoke and you're also not a social person, it's kind of like a red flag if you're at a party. At least at minimum, I'm going to dance with some women. I'm going to crack some jokes, rib on some cat, stuff like that, without any weed, without any alcohol. So basically, I still party without the substances, I guess. And that's what, the guy was kind of saying to her. And then I guess in his mind, he figured, well, you couldn't just be transportation. You have to be a lady of the night just like they are. But he had enough sense to know that just, getting up in it probably wasn't going to happen. So he gave her the alternative. Hey, you mind if I pleasure myself just to you, just sitting here? And then he said, I'll give you $100. And then, with no hesitation whatsoever, Dre says, no, 1,000. And he said, okay. And then she said, I'm still going to eat my food. But, there's this thing called mukbang where dudes, and trust me, I'm not one of these dudes. Y'all at home saying, yeah, right, you're not one of these dudes. But it's dudes who get off and lose their mind off of women just eating and chewing food. So, and Dominique is so fine. Yeah, for her, I could slightly see why it turned him on, because she's just so just unbothered. And she told him, I'm still gonna eat. Like, I'm not even gonna touch you. I'm still just sit here and eat. And he said, okay. And then he said, bite harder. And she said, no. He said, oh. just the very fact of her saying no and then continue to eat the way she want to eat, that man lost his mind. So I thought that was so funny. Oh yeah, And she was gonna kill the big boy just because he said Niger could die. But I think the funniest thing ever is that after they popped him for trying to eliminate her life, man, she got little. She got ghost on them broads in that car. just she just could care less. And that's just sometimes it's just so hilarious. Episode 3, she goes to the expensive house. And he said, I never said nothing about Niger, but you did. And I got the receipts. And then she just killed him. And then she was dancing while cleaning up the blood. I couldn't vibe with that. I don't know. It's just something about us as African American people, for the most part, we do not revel or lust in terms of killing people. So from that standpoint, I'm kind of critical because I don't really want that notion being out there when I know it not to be true. Then we get the funniest love scene ever when a dude who looked like a slim version of Lil Rel saying he used to be addicted to food. And then so when he tells her to come here, she kisses him a little bit, but then she starts stuffing potato chips. And that's almost like a substitute for sex to him because I guess he was so addicted to food that, sex is secondary. And then that started to give me a slight hint, especially when you go back to episode 1 when Damson was pounding Chloe Bailey. She was watching, but she definitely was not turned on. She had a complete look of indifference, and he really thought that she was watching because she wanted to join, or I wish she would do that to me, and there wasn't none of that. And that plus the awkward sex scene with the black guy who loves food really got my mind going that she may not be into men. Like she might have participated in sex, but it's just functionality. There's no arousal or emotional connection when she deals with men. And I kind of picked up on that. Episode 4, she killed 2 white girls at a coat for making her late to the show. Simple as that. I don't know nothing about this girl, Billie Eilish. That wasn't my favorite episode, but it was funny how she killed him because, you messing with the bottom line. I'm trying to get to this show to see Naja. Episode 5, that Houston Oilers shirt is incredible. Baby blue, sky blue has always been my favorite color. And other than the Sacramento Kings, you've never seen anybody sky blue, red, and white except for the old school Houston Oilers. So all of their gear is just downright cold. So to see that shirt, that was something. At first, I wasn't sure whose house she broke into. But then when Otis the dog came and she hugged him, she said, "We still friends." And she said that you got bigger. Dad mentioned something about Marissa used to pay Andrea's rent. I thought that was interesting. And make no mistake, when she jumped from that roof, she broke her ankle. But Of course, they didn't show us the time lapse of her trying to heal from that, but yeah, that ankle was broke. There's no way a human being, hey, this ain't the Avengers. You don't do the superhero landing when you jump from that type of distance. Episode 6, this was the one that made it feel like Atlanta. I know a lot of us didn't care for any of the episodes in Atlanta once it started kind of doing its own thing, and I hated, they call them anthologies. I hated those episodes where you didn't have the real characters. And this was similar, but the purpose of episode 6 is to show you in the literary world and in the cinematic world, they have a concept called unreliable narrator. So I didn't like the movie The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, but at first, y'all know I got a big crush on Zazie Beetz, aka Vanessa from Atlanta. So when she was his girl, watching the movie, something just had me shaking my head like, nah, you know, I'm not saying I'm the best looking dude in the world or I got more game than everybody in the world, but I can kind of tell who can pull who. And Fleck, aka the Joker, was just a little bit too awkward, too socially incompetent to pull a black woman that fine. And then it proved to be true later that he's being an unreliable narrator by making it seem like they live together and they're in love. So that's all this was the police officer was showing us that whatever Dre may have told us as an audience can't really 100% be trusted. Down to the point of the faces that they showed didn't match up with Chloe and Dominique Fishback. And then we get to the final episode, and she just turned into a whole stud out of nowhere, Tony. And obviously she may have been trying to do it so that she can remain on the run, but she really had the mannerisms down pat. Yeah, it just was. I mean, the haircut was terrible. Yeah, just everything about it seemed off to me. And then they even did a time jump, because how did it go from them meeting to them almost making out to them going to her parents' house, and then she says something about, I've been paying all the bills for a year. I had to ask my parents for money, and then you buy me these stupid Niger tickets. And the only thing I could think of is that those were the same tickets that she bought basically for Marissa, and she wanted to go with Marissa. So now that I have somebody else I care about, I want to share this with you. But sadly, the pretty mixed girl, pretty light-skinned girl was right, that how selfish is it of you if I tell you that I don't like a particular artist, and then you spend $3,600 on tickets for that artist, even though I felt like she had already bought the tickets when Niger was still alive. So that was kind of confusing. But hey, y'all, it's been almost 25 minutes. I'm gonna wrap it up here. If you enjoyed what I had to say, I would love for you to throw your comments out there, your theories. If you think there's gonna be a season 2, I'm conflicted with that because I think sometimes when something is good, um, you don't mess it up by stretching it out. I'm not really sure where else they could go with this as a series after what they showed us, but hey, it doesn't matter. As successful as this is gonna be, they're gonna give us more. Salute to Donald Glover for giving us something after Atlanta, and I'll be interested in seeing what else he could do behind the camera. Go.